What could you do to protect your pets if you're sick or injured? My product, Save My Pet ID tag, helps you ensure that your beloved pets are safe and well cared for, even when life isn't what you expect.
Now, when a beloved pet dies, our world can crumble, really. I mean, how do we get through the grief? How do we celebrate, remember, honor their memories? Well, we're in luck because our special guest today is here to unleash some great advice. She is the founder of not one, but two very vital companies in the pet world. She is the founder of Lucky Pup Adventures. She is also the founder of Memory Flame Candle Company. Please welcome to our show, the remarkable Morgan Weber. Welcome to the show, Morgan.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Arden. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Oh my gosh. Hey, pet pals, I attended a professional pet sitting conference recently in Savannah, Georgia. It is the NAPS conference. We're not taking a nap, but it stands for the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters. And that's where I met Megan. Megan was on stage and she was addressing...
I'll say Morgan, Arden. Sorry.
What did I say? Why did I say Megan?
That's okay. It happens all the time. It is not uncommon.
Hey, Brad, we get an edit here. And that's where I saw Morgan on the stage talking heart to heart about a topic we all need to talk heart to heart with. And that is dealing with grief after the loss of a pet. And, you know, Morgan, you know, we wish our pets could live forever. Mm-hmm. Can you share, you had a very special pet in your life that sort of is the motivation behind the Memory Flame Candle Company. Tell us a little bit about Oliver. Olive.
So Olive was a really special dog to me. So we had two dogs at the time, and I was kind of looking for a third dog. And, you know, I was searching the pet finder and our local shelters, and none of them really seemed quite right. So I just kind of kept looking and kept looking. And then one day my husband got a phone call from an acquaintance of his who said, hey, there was a baby puppy who was dropped off literally in a garbage bag, just dropped out of a car, and the car drove away. We found her, you know, do you think maybe she could come and live with you for a little bit? And I said, we could foster this dog. Well, she didn't leave. Olive stayed. And she was a really special dog to us. And she started to she always had some health problems. We were always kind of chasing one health problem after another health problem. And once she hit about, kind of a year and a half, there were definitely some concerning things that we started to see. I have a little bit of a background in pet training, and, I'd done a lot of rescue work, and I was like, something's not quite perfect here. Mm-hmm. Something's not quite right. And as she got older, things kind of got more severe, and they kind of kept progressing. And we got to the point where we knew that we had to choose behavioral euthanasia for Olive. And it was absolutely devastating. It's not something that people talk about. It's not something that you find a lot of resources about online. Thankfully, Trish McMillan has a group called Losing Lulu, and it's a fantastic place to learn more information about behavioral euthanasia. And it was one of the most heartbreaking, heart-wrenching things we had to do, but we knew that we had to because Olive's life had really devolved, and all the things that used to bring her joy now brought her paranoia and stress, and it was just very sad. So we said, well, let
me jump in because people need to know, what do you mean by behavioral euthanasia? I actually know personally from a corgi named Jazz that I had the same situation, but I mean, this is a tough call, but it's also about quality of life.
Absolutely. It's all about quality of life for us. And behavioral euthanasia is when you decide to euthanize a pet for behavioral health reasons. So usually it means that dogs are a bite risk. It might mean that they are a danger to other pets or even the people in your home. And it's when, usually you've tried all of the things. You've worked with trainers, you've tried behavioral modification meds, you've worked with your vet. And I think that there's a lot of negative stigma around it, because usually these dogs, if you look at them, they are often physically healthy or often, close to healthy. Olive had her own issues. But if someone had just seen us walking down the street, they probably would have thought that it was a fairly healthy dog. But inside our home, or even, as her diseases and progressed, she got again, just really paranoid about all of the things. Like we couldn't go for walks anymore. And that was one of her favorite things that she used to do. And so it is very much she had no quality of life left.
Yeah.
And we made the most compassionate decision that we could make for her. And even though it broke our heart, we knew that it was the right decision. And yeah, there's just, people don't talk about it enough. And it's not something that most people will ever have to experience because, most dogs aren't at that point in life. But yeah, it was just also a profound moment in my life. And it really changed how I looked at myself and my work as a professional pet sitter. I definitely started looking at it through a new lens. And I started to realize, what about my own quality of life?
Exactly.
I'm taking so much care for my dogs and my clients to give their pets and, even my own client, the human clients' lives. They're having a great quality of life. They're getting to go to work worry-free. They're getting to take that vacation. They're getting that family time together. And what about myself? Like as my own human, am I making sure I have my own quality of life? And we need to jump in. We need to jump in because out of something really tragic but necessary, which is a very tough call, Olive has served as kind of the catalyst for what you're doing. And she's not going to brag everybody, but I'm going to brag for her because we are talking with the 2022 Petsitter International Pet Sitter of the Year. Yes.
She's also Fear-Free certified, and she belongs also to two. This is the theme, too. She belongs to two professional pet organizations, PSI and NAPS. So you got hit hard with Olive, but you're using this to help others. So tell us how this whole Memory Flame Candle Company, and what state are you in now? I think I took my notes.
Yeah, I'm in South Dakota. I'm in South Dakota. Yep,
okay.
I'm up in the middle of the country, way up top. And
so, I mean, a candle company? Was that ever in your horizon?
No way. I wasn't even a candle person, Arden, I have to tell you. So Olive dies. I am just heartbroken and I'm just really struggling with ways to feel better.
Yeah.
And so I went to Google like so many of us do. And I was searching in these dog groups. I'm like, trying to find ways to feel better. And somebody made the comment, I light a candle when I'm feeling sad, when I'm thinking of my lost pet. And I'm going to be honest, Arden, I kind of thought it was a load of hooey. I am not like a woo-woo person. I was not a candle person. And I can be a little bit acerbic sometimes. And I kind of said, how is a candle going to help me feel better about my dead dog? Like my dog is gone and I feel terrible. How is this going to help? But I was desperate and I was willing to try anything. And so I gave it a shot and I started lighting a candle. And it turned out that every time I was feeling sad or I was thinking of Olive, I lit this candle and it was almost as if I was picking up my grief out of my heart and I just kind of set it down for a little bit. And I just kind of watched that candle. And the more I lit my candle, the more I could just feel that weight coming off. And it was almost like I was doing something with my grief as a way to kind of help move it out from my body and move it, kind of set it down for a little bit. And I tell people that you don't have to light a candle in grief. It could be writing a letter. It could be painting a painting. It could be planting something, going for a walk. But the more we can take that grief from outside of us and put it down and, and kind of set it out of the hold that we're carrying it so tightly. And we feel like we have to keep it to ourselves because maybe nobody else is going to understand what this means. The more we can do that, the better off we're going to be. And you got to do something with your grief.
Well, you mentioned, and I took note of your presentation. You said, grief is personal and each person has to find their own way through it. I really like that because it's not cookie cutter.
No, not at all. And, grief makes us do weird things. We can forget things. We can be really grumpy people. It can make us not be great employees or make us not be great bosses or great partners or great friends, and it can be really hard to support somebody through grief because one, like we've talked about, it's not something that is shared frequently. Most of us if we had somebody who passed away when we were a kid, we probably weren't talked through it with a parent or with,
Right.
Somebody who was important to us. And so we just don't even know what to do. We don't know what to say. And we really struggle to connect to people in their times of grief or when we ourselves are grieving. And so it's a very complex situation because nobody really knows what to do.
Well, I like the fact that you step forward and say, look, I'm not a psychologist.
Right.
But you
I'm
have
a pet
some
sitter.
Oh, not just a pet sitter.
Okay.
You have training in the field in the
Yes,
pet
yes.
industry.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Four-Legged Life.
Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content.
Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.